Hello and good morning,
Good
everyone,
morning.
and welcome to this week's Connect. It's really great to be with you all again. And this morning, we're really looking forward to interviewing our very own and very special Becki Elliott. Are you there, Rebecca? Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello.
I got Becki Elliott. That sounds weird.
That's your formal introduction. We're very posh here on Digital Church.
Well,
well, we want to start by saying, of course, a massive thank you to you for everything that you've been doing for our digital services.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange seeing you on a screen without some kind of fancy dress, outfit or makeup or something on.
The blueberry was a particular highlight for me, I think.
Well, thank you very much. There is no Ignite this week, but I'm very pleased that I've still made it into the service somehow.
You have. And I know that lots of people watching will also echo those sentiments and want to say thank you for everything you're doing and to encourage you. So if you are watching live and you'd like to pop your encouragements for Becki into the comments, then please do that.
Absolutely. Now, lockdown has been such a long time and it seems like so long ago that it started. It'd be really interesting to know off the bat what have been some of the biggest blessings for you that have come about over this time.
It has. It feels such a long time, doesn't it? So lockdown started essentially on my 30th birthday, which was way back in March. And as a family, we were counting so many blessings. So at this time of year, ordinarily, or at the start of March, I would normally be in school being a reception teacher, because that's what I do. And I'd be preparing my very little children for finishing off their journey through the early years and getting ready for their exciting transition into year one. And Imogen would have been at nursery and enjoying all of the social interaction that she gets there. It's a really busy time of year for Mark as he prepares for ISCA and spends a week with the youth in the division and gets ready for all sorts of residentials. And he's away a lot at this time of the year. And obviously none of that happened, which was really bizarre. But actually, we got some really unexpected and really beautiful time as a family that we would never have had. So we enjoyed late nights and too much ice cream and way too much baking and just lots of really precious family moments that we probably just would never have had otherwise. So that was a real massive blessing for our family.
Yeah.
But then as lockdown unfolded and we kicked off with Digital Church, it was a real privilege to find a new way to lead Ignite and also to share Ignite with the people in our church and to receive so much encouragement back from that has been a real blessing. To be able to share the joy that the children bring me every week, because they are so amazing. And you guys have been able to witness them praying and reading the Bible and acting and being silly and playing their instruments. And that hasn't only been shared with our church family in Castleford, but that's also been shared with kids in a kids' church in Scarborough. And Leo in Malton. Good morning, Leo, if you're watching. And in Scotland and in Sheffield and in Carnforth in Wales. So our Ignite family has really grown, and it's been really amazing to see how our confinement has been used by God to spread the gospel amongst so many children. That's been huge. And then, of course, towards maybe April, like early April, we found out that we were going to have another baby girl, and that's another huge blessing in our family. So we are overwhelmed with blessings that we've really clung on to in the last few weeks that have been a little bit harder.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we know that you in particular are so much fun to be around. And so we thought, since we have the opportunity on Connect Live, that we might actually just sneak in a couple of would you rather questions. For those of you that don't know, the Elliots and the Trotters love to play would you rather. So we've actually got some Bible-related would you rathers for you. I'm just going to fire them straight at you. Would you rather have the strength of Samson or the wisdom of Solomon?
Ooh. I feel like I know quite a lot of, like, not mega strong, but like Mark's quite strong. Not Samson strong, but he's quite strong. And we always have Luke on hand and he's quite strong. So I think my strength wouldn't be put to very good use. And also, I feel like I should say wisdom because it feels like the greater of the two. So wisdom. Let's have some wisdom.
Brilliant. Would you? This is a bit of a slightly more serious one. Would you rather be imprisoned for 2 years or be swallowed by a whale?
Ooh. So either imprisonment or smelly imprisonment.
Basically.
The options there. I'm going to go with in prison, because I rely a lot on fellowship and the people around me. So, and I think maybe in a prison cell, I could at least shout or sing to the person next door. Whereas in the belly of a whale, there's not much companionship. So
that's very true.
Lots of witnessing happening in prison cells in the Bible. I think that's a good answer.
Yeah, you can do your kids' church songs still in prison, can't you? The final would you rather be baptized by John or hear Paul preach to a crowd?
Oh. Let's go with hear Paul. Acts and Romans are like my favourite books in the Bible because they're full of radicals and revolutionaries and stories of miracles and mercenaries. So Paul. Let's go with.
Good option. 3
good answers. For anyone who's been around us when we've done this before, they're usually slightly sillier than that. People will be wondering why we're being quite so serious and spiritual, but it's nice to know that we can do it if we need to, isn't it? Now, you alluded to this a few minutes ago, but in such a long time, lots has happened and lots has changed. So could you talk us through some of the things that have changed for you since all of this COVID stuff came about?
It has. Our lives as a family have completely done almost a complete U-turn in the last few weeks and months. So we started off lockdown very much in control of what was happening to our lives. Mark and I are both in positions of leadership over children and youth and co-workers, and we're used to being in control and knowing what things look like, and that's sort of all been flipped on its head in the last few months. We're in a really strange place. So we're currently 25 weeks pregnant with baby girl number 2 called Eloise. And at our 20-week scan, we found out that Eloise's heart is poorly. Most of you know this already. But it means that when Eloise is born, for her heart to work and for it not to fail, she's likely to have an operation really soon after birth. And as a parent, that's really, really scary news to hear. And there were lots of tears. And I'm sure there'll continue to be lots of tears throughout the uncertainty of the days and weeks to come.
Yeah.
To know as a mummy that there's a little girl growing in my tummy who I can feel wriggling and is very much a part of our lives, to know that she's poorly and not to have any control over that is really difficult. There's no amount of prenatal yoga or kale that I can eat to make her any better. So ultimately I have to leave it in God's control. So as a family, we're sort of sitting in a really uncomfortable place of not having control of the health of our daughter, the health of our child, and we're having to leave it all in God's control. And it also impacts my work life as a teacher. As a teacher, I left the classroom like most teachers did way back in March. And because of Eloise's vulnerability, it means that I won't actually go back into a classroom to teach any children until, maybe next September 21, perhaps. So I know that I'm speaking to lots of teachers in our church and in our church community who will understand when I say that to be a teacher and to not have children almost leaves you feeling a little bit bereft. So that's my career and my family life and my daughter, and I won't have as much control over how Imogen's doing in the coming months when I know that I'll have to spend a little bit of time in hospital with Eloise. So the only way that I can describe it is it kind of feels like I'm walking a tightrope in the dark, just having to completely rely that God's going to put one foot in front of the other for me, and that when my feet are too tired to walk themselves, that He's going to carry me and He's going to catch me. And I know that already because I can see and I can feel that God's put so much support in place for our family, our beautiful friends, people praying for us all over the world. There are people praying for us and lifting prayers in Eloise's name, which is amazing. So I can see that God is equipping us. but it doesn't make it any less a scary place to be. It just means we have to learn to lean on God and be comfortable in an uncomfortable place.
Yeah, of course. And despite all of which, I know that so many people just admire the optimism and the enthusiasm with which you still contribute every week to our church family, and that goes for both of you as well. So thank you for sharing that so honestly and openly. I know that people are going to be really covering you in prayer and encouraging you and cheering you all on as you go through the coming weeks and months and of course into the future when we anticipate welcoming the newest member of our church family. So we wonder then, would you be able to share with us some scripture or a song that has maybe just spoken to you or been something that you've really cherished in the recent days?
Psalm 23 is the psalm that it just won't go away. It just keeps coming back to me everywhere. And most of the time it's in under the media of your voices, which is really lovely. I've been so blessed by listening to your voices through lockdown. But when I hear Psalm 23, I hear Matthew singing the first few lines of the beautiful arrangement that we've heard so often in the last few months. And I'm going to read it to you. Just the first 3 verses. This is what Psalm 23 says. It's a psalm written by David, and it's a psalm of great comfort. And this is the Message translation, and it says this. It says, God, my shepherd, I don't need a thing. You have bedded me down in lush meadows. You find me quiet pools to drink from. True to your word, you let me catch my breath and send me in the right direction. Even when the way goes through Death Valley, I am not afraid when you walk at my side. Your trusty shepherd's crook makes me feel secure. So Mark and I know that the journey that we have to go through isn't one that's negotiable. This season of our life is dark and it's difficult. It's not easy. But we also know that the shepherd doesn't shy away from leading us through those places, through those dark places, because there's nothing that he can't equip us for, and there's nothing that he can't protect us from. And we know that the good shepherd leads us through these dark places because at the other side, there's green pastures. And it's really frustrating not to know what those green pastures look like for our family. But we just have the confidence that when we get there, we'll see God's glory and God's name will be glorified by Eloise and by our family. It's just frustrating not to know what they look like. But we know they're coming, and we know that these days are precious and greater things are to come because God makes things beautiful, not in our time, but in his. So a difficult place, but we know that better things are coming.
Thank you so much. I know lots of people watching, whatever circumstance they're in, will be really comforted by this. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Your joy, Becki, is completely infectious, and your faith is inspiring children and adults up and down the country. And actually, your vulnerability about this is a blessing to us because it welcomes us into this journey that you're going through, so that we can be alongside you and pray for you and over you.
And we're so grateful for that, for the love and support of our church family. We certainly wouldn't be able to be disciplined enough to find joy in our lives and in our situation without those people who are bolstering us and who are holding us up and holding us together. So we're really grateful for that. And we very much love our church family and appreciate all of you.
Yeah. We wonder then, is there anything else that we can pray about for you?
So obviously for Eloise, as a family, we are praying bold prayers because we know that our God is a God who can do immeasurably more than we can imagine. So we're praying for miracles and we're praying for healing and we're praying that God's glory will be found in this situation in that way, because we can't put our own limitations on our incredible God. But also in the coming weeks, what's also on my mind and that I would really love your prayer support with is the return to school. And not just for me, it's the return to school is going to look a little bit strange for me because I'm not actually going back into the classroom. But I'm aware that lots of our Ignite children are. So in the coming weeks, we've got lots of children moving into year 1 and into year 4. And I would just really appreciate your prayers for them, for their transition to their new teachers, to their new classroom, to their new way of learning, and also that they'll continue to be shining lights for Christ in their schools and their communities, because they're brilliant and they're awesome and they absolutely deserve our prayer support behind them as they're going to school for the first time, for some of them, in what is a really, really long time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if you're watching, please do get praying for those things. I know that our young people at church are so well loved, so please do think about them in the coming weeks as we go back to school, and everything that Becky's just said. Yeah, we really want to raise the names of our children, our Ignite kids, before the Lord in the next few days and weeks. Thank you so much, Becki, for joining us this morning in a different capacity. We look forward to when Ignite Church is back and you're in your next silly outfit. But thank you so much for joining us, and take care. God bless.
Thanks, Becki.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.